Hi everyone. Yesterday we started talking about the features of a biography, and if you watched the videos yesterday, you should know that a biography is a story that tells about somebody's life and what they were known for, maybe a famous person, what they did when they were younger, and how they impacted the world. And we started off by going over the features of a biography the other day, and I'm going to quickly review this chart, and then I'm going to read a biography to you, and we're going to talk about what makes it a biography and what we learned from it. So it says a biography tells the person's date and place of birth. Usually in a biography, that's how it's going to start. It's going to talk about their beginning of life and where they were born, and maybe a little bit about their childhood. It says a biography tells about the person's family, childhood, and important events. So again, it's going to kind of stay in sequence and tell you about maybe their growing up years, maybe their schooling, their education, anything that happened to them when they were younger. A biography describes the person's personality and characteristics. So what kind of person they were, what kind of traits they might have had, and a little bit about their personality. A biography quotes the person and people who knew the person. So maybe in the biography, they mention something that specific person said along the way. And maybe it's a famous quote. Maybe it's something famous that they're known for. That would probably be included in the biography. A biography describes the person's impact on the world. So what did they do in their life, and what made them famous? How did they impact or change the world, and why are they well known? And a biography starts with some kind of hook. That's to grab the reader's attention and make you want to read on and hopefully learn more about that person. So they try to hook you by getting you interested in that biography. So since we've reviewed all of those features, I'm going to read a short biography about a man named Albert Einstein. And you may have heard of him. There's a photograph that goes along with the biography and a caption underneath the picture. We'll read that as well. And I'm going to read it out loud, and then we're going to talk about what makes it a biography and what we learned from it according to our chart that we just reviewed. Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein is the father of physics. He studied the nature of the universe. Like Galileo, he changed the way we think about life. Einstein was born in Germany in 1879. He died in New Jersey in 1955. Einstein was a poor reader as a child. He was not good in math. He did not even like school. Teachers said he was a bad student. All that changed when he grew older. He learned that school is important. He learned how new ideas can help the world. As a young man, Einstein worked in an office. He studied math in his time off from work. He loved to study then. He wrote a book in his spare time. His book told how time works. Like Galileo, he used reason to understand nature. Einstein was not free in Germany during World War II. He escaped to be free in America. He became an American. And then under the picture, there is a caption, and it says, Albert Einstein once said, "Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better." So, we're going to take this biography and think about the features that we talked about earlier. The first one is a biography tells the person's date and place of birth. Well, when I read the biography to you, it did say that he was born in Germany in 1879 and he died in 1955. So there's a little bit of information about his lifespan. It says that a biography tells about the person's family, childhood, and important events. Later on in the biography, it talks about how Einstein was a poor reader as a child and he wasn't good in math. He didn't even like school. So that talks about his upbringing and a little bit about him as a young man. Teachers even said that he was a bad student. But then later on, he learned that school was important. So that kind of talks about his early years. A biography describes the person's personality and characteristics. If we read on through the biography, we can tell that he was a studier. He liked to study, even though he didn't understand reading and wasn't good at math. Later on in his life, he loved to study once he figured out what was important to him, and he was able to do that. So he was definitely smart in the way he was thinking. A biography quotes the person and people who knew the person. Underneath the picture, he was quoted as saying, "Look deep into nature and you will understand everything better." Albert Einstein actually said those words. So that's what we call a quote or a quotation to help us understand him more. A biography describes the person's impact on the world. Well, we know from reading this that Einstein studied math, and he even wrote a book in his spare time, and it was about time. So he was very, very smart, and he wrote a book that talked about time. He was also called the father of physics, and he studied the nature of the universe. That was his contribution to the world. A biography starts with a strong hook. Well, if I go back to the beginning, it said that he was the father of physics. That is kind of our strong hook. That makes me want to read on and understand, well, why was he the father of physics? Why would they call him that? And when we read on, we can definitely tell. So those are the features of a biography as they apply to this one about Albert Einstein. We learned a lot about this man and his impact on the world.